In the next section, we have alignment. Now, when I say alignment, do you know what I'm talking about?
Where it's situated.
Right. Is it on the left margin or is it on the right margin? Is it centered in the cell? So right now it's left align, and we can see that. And you have next to that the center button and the right align. Headings, what do you typically want to do with your headings?
I typically center mine.
Okay, so let's click the center one. And just so you're aware, occasionally, we haven't done this, we'll do this in a later module, but you can change your row height. And the buttons above that choose whether the text is in the top of the cell, the middle of the cell, or the bottom of the cell.
Okay.
Now to the right of that is really a cool button, that AB button going up there. You can put your text at an angle. Some people think that's fun. It doesn't necessarily improve reading, but sometimes if you're trying to squeeze something into a smaller space, an angled text will help.
Okay.
So, you could try just so you can see. That's kind of not
really
going to do
work.
what you want.
I think I'm going to use that undo
Good
that I
job.
learned.
Do the undo. All right. And then the last two in the next to the alignment buttons have to do with indent, so I can indent within the cell or back up the indent.
I don't think that this really is a case where I would want to do that since I've centered it.
Now, there's some other things there, but I'd rather show those to you in another place. The wrap text and the merge and center are really cool deals, but I think they'll be more useful later.
Well, this is good, but I only have it in this one cell. So now that I have made A1 look great, how do I do that? Do I have to go through this process for the rest of these now too?
You don't. That's what's great. Now, if we had been sure what we were going to do, we could have highlighted all the way across the row and done them all at once. But we decided we'd experiment a little bit. But over to the left of the font, you have the Format Painter.
Okay.
Now, the Format Painter copies just the formatting in a cell.
All right.
So it takes any formatting and copies it. Now, the first thing you have to be sure that you have done is you have to click on the cell that has the format you want.
Okay.
You won't. So we're in cell A1. If you click on the Format Painter, notice you get that moving marquee. Bring your mouse down into the spreadsheet. What do you
notice? It
notice?
looks different. It's got a paintbrush next to it.
It's got a paintbrush. So go up there on cell B1 and click.
Just one time?
Sure. Now, what happened?
It changed it to exactly like the other one.
Right.
That's great.
Is your paintbrush still there?
No, it went away.
It went away. So would you like to know how to keep the paintbrush?
Absolutely.
All right, so we're on cell B1, which has the formatting we want. Double-click the Format Painter. Now if you come down, you can click anywhere you want, or you could click and drag, whatever you want. But if you notice,
works. Cool.
All right, so you've seen that you can hang on to the paintbrush, and you can click, but since these cells are right next to each other, why don't you just click and drag on cell E1 out to, what is it, G maybe that you're going to on the spreadsheet, whatever your headings are. Just drag on out there, and there you go.
Okay, that works great.
And then to get rid of the Format Painter, you can either hit the Escape key on your keyboard, or you can click on the Format Painter up there on the ribbon.
So it's kind of like a switch. You click once to turn it on and click again to turn it off if I've double-clicked on it.
Correct.
But if I single-click on it, then I just get to use it once and then it'll turn off automatically.
Exactly.
Okay,
exactly.
good. Well, that looks a lot better. I'm going to zoom out a little bit so I can see what this looks like. And oh wow, that really makes those titles jump off the page. I think that looks a lot better.
Okay. One more thing I'd like to show you on this is that I notice you have numbers that represent money. So we can format those numbers for currency. So what you want to do, your amount column, let's go with that one first.
Okay.
You can select the whole column by just clicking on the F above amount. And in our number section of our home ribbon, notice the number group. We had the font alignment, and here's the number one.
Okay.
This is where we can format for numbers.
All right.
And you have some quick formats like the $sign. That goes to an accounting number format. You have a percentage and so forth. You can just put in commas. You can put in decimal places. You also have a drop down under General. General just means the numbers are there, not formatted.
Oh, okay.
And notice we have currency and accounting. Let's choose currency.
All right. Oh, yeah.
And notice it automatically put in 2 decimal places and it put in a $sign. Okay?
Yeah, they immediately know that that is a dollar figure. I like
Exactly.
that. So I could come over here to H and select that and do the drop down box there too?
You can, but let me show you something really neat.
Okay.
Go on and select H. And remember me mentioning repeat when we were talking about undo and redo?
Mm-hmm.
Repeat takes your last format and lets you apply it. And you can just use your control and your Y key, so control plus Y. And boom, there you go.
Oh, and it does the last thing that I did. So if I had another column, I could go select that, or row for that matter, and do control Y and it would do the numbering.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
That's great.
Now, one thing I will tell you, some people will look at this and say, for a spreadsheet, currency is probably not appropriate. You might want to use the accounting format. So if you go up to your number group on the Home tab, click on that drop down again, and choose accounting. I just want to show you the difference.
Oh, the dollar signs are in a different place.
Right.
So it lines everything up. Okay.
And just so you're aware, remember this little button here? We can pop that up. And remember that gives us the dialog box.
Oh yeah, that looks familiar.
And I can choose whether I have decimal places or not. In this case, I can choose whether I want the dollar sign or not.
Okay.
I'm going to cancel that. Do you see anywhere on the ribbon where that might take care of the decimal places for us if we didn't want them?
These guys right here?
Right, right. So we can decrease or increase the decimal places, and it tells you by pointing with an arrow which way it's going to go. So if you didn't want the decimal places.
Because I don't have any change in there, but I think I like it, this particular column without it.
Okay.
All right.
One last thing, there are some built-in formats within Excel.
Okay.
And to get to those, we want to go to the Page Layout tab. You see that Themes? It's the very first button.
Oh yeah, I see that themes group.
Yeah. Notice the first one, it has a drop down. This
Oh,
is one
wow.
of those live galleries when you point to it, you see changes. Do you see how your backgrounds are changing, your font colors are changing, your fonts are going to change as you go through these. So there are certain themes built in, and if you're putting together a whole package of information to give to a client or something, you might want to use a universal theme. So you
Okay.
could choose a theme, and then if you had a Word document, you could choose the same theme. If you had a PowerPoint, you could choose the same theme. But it has preset formats that are automatically there. Usually a header font, and then a body font or a regular text font, and some formatting. And if you had other little features in there, it often has formats for those.
So that's great. Instead of having to go and figure out what the color should be or what the font should look like, I can come straight to these themes without doing anything and choose a theme, and it will just do it all for me.
Exactly.
That is wonderful. Now, are these items over here, are these included in the theme, or do I have to do these separately?
Those are included, but if you wanted to, you could do those separately.
Okay.
And just choose a color theme or choose a font theme. And the color themes have, I believe, about 8 colors associated with them.
Okay.
You can choose a font theme. It has a header and a body font, and you can see what those are.
Now, I noticed because I have already changed the font and the and italicize and bold it, that it keeps what I
Right.
did in
Right.
there.
It only changes the parts that it actually has stored in it. Effects, we don't really have anything for effects right now, but let's say we had some shapes in here.
Oh, okay.
Then it would do some shading or some texture gradients or things along those lines on our shapes.
Well, I think I would like to add an arrow to the total, so maybe you can show me how to do that later.
Okay, we can do that.
All right, that sounds good.
Sounds good.